Understanding that corporeal images can often produce the strongest responses, I am seeking to understand how the image of pregnancy, beginning with the image of the Virgin Mary and the baby Jesus, and continuing into the modern age, becomes a discourse on the evolving nature of reproduction, as well as to analyze how distinct images can elicit such powerful emotional responses. What is the connection between the visual image of pregnancy, reproduction, and the sacred? The image of Christ the child with the Virgin is perhaps the most poignant image we think of in regards to birth and reproduction, in terms of the sacred. These iconic images, revered in places of worship, placed on prayer cards, and exhibited in museums around the world, showcase the sacrality of pregnancy, of the mother's solemn bond with her child. The visual is integral to this portrayal of the Virgin in regards to her child. In most images, Mary is seen peering down at the baby Jesus, almost as a gesture of reverence and worship. Her pensive stare illustrates volumes, almost as if she is denying herself of herself and pouring it all into Christ the child. This gaze seemed to at once recognize the natural human bond between mother and child, as well as function as a form of religious deference. The divine nature of the Immaculate Conception and the birth renounces it of any visual, salacious nature. There is no pregnant body. There is only the aftermath, and this aftermath teems with religious meaning. Though I searched extensively, I could not find any image that depicted the Virgin Mary actually pregnant. In Darshan, Diane Eck says that religious images can both be seen and see. In an almost animated way, they allow themselves to be seen. Here, however, it is as if the Virgin is denying her image, averting her gaze, and by doing so, denying a worldly bodily connection to reproduction. Instead, she looks away from the viewer and towards the Christ child. This is where the powerful exchange is taking place, and this is where the sacred is reified. In many ways, this enduring and archetypal image of the Christ child and his Virgin Mother not only create but also reflect the sacrality projected onto reproduction, the doctrinal and precious gift of life, which is present in so many religious traditions. Moving forward into present day, we see a shift in the portrayal of pregnancy and the nature of reproduction through the image. Be it celebrity pregnancy photos flocking the cover of magazines, or pregnancy portrayed as more tied to corporeality in the image form, we see a departure from abstracted forms of reproduction, where mother is simply seen cradling her divine son. David Friedberg says that we can best understand sacrality through iconoclasm, from taking something from its original context and displacing it as if to denigrate it. In regards to pregnancy, I think this can be no better seen than through the startling image of the transgendered pregnant man Thomas Beattie. Simultaneously abandoning and embracing the pregnancy romance, Beattie's photograph garners much meaning in juxtaposition to the divine. Iconoclasm destroys the context, but what is interesting about this symbolic iconoclasm is that both the Virgin and Thomas Beattie are unnatural. Both defy what is considered natural reproduction, one through the divine and one through the mechanical era of reproduction. The Virgin denies her earthly flesh, while Thomas exalts his. Here he is seen open-bodied, chest scars exposed from his surgical mastectomy, pridefully holding his functioning yet contradictory womb. It is his body, in his own very specific form, that is taking center stage, unlike in the images of the Virgin where Christ is central. Yet, as if almost to realize his pregnancy as a cultural aberration and a challenge to traditional modes of reproduction, he looks down and away from the camera, hauntingly like the Virgin, not ready to face the public's direct gaze. It is through this iconoclastic image that we realize the imagery of pregnancy as a dominantly sacred one. In what Eck deems the hermeneutics of the visible, we problematize the sacred image by viewing ordinary ones or those that redefine the origins of the sacred. What we see, though, are not such disparate extremes, but two images depicting vessels through which life is begotten, and where the child is exalted.